You're on it today. I love it.
Welcome to Live Ball, presented by Harper Volkswagen. Here are your hosts, Paige Dauer and Todd Kelly Jr.
Good morning. No game, no problem. Tennessee's on a bye, but this might be the most important week of the season, from Arion Carter leading the SEC in tackles to Joey Aguilar and Chris Brazzell building real connection on the road. The lights are off, but Tennessee is stacking growth this week, and if you want to win October, well, it certainly starts right now. Paige Dauer alongside VFL Todd Kelly Jr. This is the Live Ball Week 6 edition, and there's so much to get into today. We have another VFL coming up later in the show, but TK, I want to talk about Mississippi State real quick, because where I was left most impressed was in that game. Yeah, it's another overtime game, but this 2025 version, they found a way to win where maybe in years past, I don't know if those versions would have won. I
agree, Paige. And on the road in the SEC, I said it last week, I'll say it again, you just have to win, whether it's by 1 point, whether it's in overtime, which was the case, last weekend. But a win is a win.
Yeah.
You're moving forward. You're focused on your next opponent. You're getting healthy this bye week to prepare for Arkansas. And, I think from years past to see us in that situation where, yes, you're on the road. Yes, it's a hostile environment. Yet you persevere and you win. So it's good to see us finally get over the hump this season.
And I know, the poise of the team really impressed you from last week, and I'm sure you probably could go down to that overtime drive when it's the defense that answers the bell.
Yeah, exactly. The poise of not only the offense, right, and Joey Aguilar, but the defense. In times when they had to answer, in times where they had to make a difference and even score, we did on the defensive side. So the poise and composure overall, right, not just on offense and defense, but special teams. Starting the game off with a muffed punt by Braylon Staley. Put him out there again. He makes play, put Boo Carter in. So we've still got to figure out, who's going to be back there in the long run. But no matter what happened, we responded, whether it was interceptions, turnovers, things happen, and we did the same thing to them. So it was great to see that on the road.
Yeah, how much did you like that overtime drive by Mississippi State? And it's the Tennessee defense kind of, buckling down, and it's Arion Carter. Unlike every single one of those plays, he's the one kind of making the play.
He is, and he's the heartbeat of this defense, in my opinion. For the defense to be out there, most of the time you want your defense to, be on the field first.
Yeah.
But in that case, we score right off the bat. Deshaun Bishop, 25-yard run down the sideline, and it's on the defense.
Yeah.
And nobody better to win the game, in my opinion, than Arion Carter on fourth down with that pass breakup. Such a phenomenal game that we'll talk about later that he had. But, for the defense to walk it off, nobody better to do it than him.
Yeah, and nobody better on offense that's doing it right now is Chris Brazzell Jr. and Joey Aguilar.
Just the confidence he has. He tells me, if you throw it, I'm going to go grab it. So just go out there, just playing around, throwing the ball around different areas, trying to test where he's good at, where he's not. And he's good at everything. So.
What's so funny, he's like, his catch radius, it's pretty much anywhere.
He is long and mighty, and he's going to go get the ball. And Joey has so much confidence in what Brazzell Jr. can do. And you can almost see the charisma and confidence in Chris as well when he goes out there. Just watching him play, how he lines up, he's almost asking for the ball now. And you look at his statistics, whether it's receiving yards, touchdowns, and we won't talk about that. What I thought was an offensive pass interference, but
we can't.
He should be even higher on the charts, right? And yet he's, 1 or 2, in the SEC, as well as top 10 in everything nationally.
Yeah.
So, and that's not counting the touchdown that he really did have. So, kudos to Chris Brazzell Jr. as well as Joey Aguilar for even giving him an opportunity to make these plays.
What I think is most impressive, you talk about where he ranks in the FBS and the stats category, is yes, he is first in the country in touchdowns. He's second in the country in total yards, but he's 18th in the country in catches per game. So even when he's not leading in probably that maybe more important statistic, his ratio of catches to touchdowns, it's incredible.
It is, and you think of those long, big play receivers like an A.J. Green from back in the day, or Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss, the long, tall, lanky, but you're going to trust him to go up and get the ball, right? And it's going to be chunk plays. So he's big on explosive plays. We haven't really seen him, after the catch, really just break one, in short yardage. But what you see is when they're long balls, he's going up and getting the ball, and the DB that's one-on-one with him, they're not bringing him down. So that just shows how strong he's gotten over the season.
But when we looked at the flip side, there are a little bit of concerns that you had from that Mississippi State game that's kind of been lingering through the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, well, it starts with, forced throws or drop balls. A lot of times we've seen Joey Aguilar's interceptions be unfortunate. That's a statistic where you look on there and you see how many interceptions you've thrown and you think, is he just an erratic quarterback? And no, a lot of these have been forced, some drops and some haven't been his fault. But one thing that I think is admirable of Joey Aguilar as a leader of this offense is stepping up and taking ownership for those passes. But, drop balls can be a thing moving forward. And I do think at times Joey forces throws, particularly, on the inside of defenses, within the hashes. And that's when tip balls happen and when interceptions happen as well from those tip balls.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he wants to work on the bye week as well.
I would say I'll be decent right now. There's still a lot of stuff. I could clean up all around, get in some better situations, put the ball in better places for the receivers, but.
Yeah, it's fine when the balls are a little high and away when you're in the end zone, right? Like the touchdown catch that Chris Brazzell had, because if it doesn't get to Chris Brazzell, it's the back of the end zone and it's no foul.
Right.
But when you mentioned you're in the middle of the field and it's not on a dot, right? It's a little high, a little away, a little behind, then you're putting it in serious danger.
Absolutely, and that's what we worked on, as a secondary, and also with the linebackers, right? The back seven is making plays off of tipped balls. And also when we were in the red zone, we said don't let anything get behind you, right? And I knew the quarterback was either going to throw it to their receiver or over their head.
Yeah.
So I think Joey does a great job of that. But, when we're in, kind of the midfield range and, he's taking these attempts to try to get it to his receivers, those DBs are, licking their lips ready to make plays on that because that's what I did back in the day.
Yeah. What do you see from Joey? I know he does such a good job of not getting too high or too low, but do you notice that maybe some of those passes that are a little high, do you contribute that to maybe a quarterback being a touch nervous?
I wouldn't say nerves for him. I think he's calm, cool, and collected. I think just his footwork at times. He can get a little out of whack with his footwork and maybe throw off of his back foot just because when he sees something, it doesn't matter where his feet are, he's going to try to get it there. And because he's so athletic, he can pull that off with his arm strength, but sometimes that also comes to bite him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of who's up and who's down at this heat check kind of a moment on the bye week. We'll be right back.
Your business can't afford the downtime that comes with a leaky roof. So whether you need a repair or a replacement, count on the professionals from McGuire Roofing and Construction. Your protection is our passion. We service and sell all types of roofs and have worked with some of East Tennessee's most recognized names. We have 25 years of experience and free inspection estimates, plus best in business warranties. Put an end to your roofing problems today by calling McGuire Roofing and Construction.
Welcome to Live Ball, presented by Harper Volkswagen. Here are your hosts, Paige Dauer and Todd Kelly Jr.
All right, welcome back into Live Ball. Paige Dauer, VFL, Todd Kelly Jr. A little bit of like who's up, who's down, kind of leaning into our buying and selling segment, but a little bit more intimate to the Tennessee Volunteers. And I think, like we mentioned it in the first segment, TK, like it's Chris Brazzell Jr. And I think the biggest thing is because like he flew under the radar to start the season, missing those first 8 practices of fall camp, and then didn't really have the best 2024 season. He has absolutely exploded onto the scene this season.
He is. He's a playmaker. There's no doubt about it. You talk about all these award watch lists. He's on every one you can think of that a wide receiver can be on, and you see that in Heupel's, basically his offense.
Yeah.
There's always a standout receiver, and most of the time they're going to be overlooked. But as you learn in this offense and as you learn the schemes and how to get open and how to truly be the playmaker you are, one, it gives you confidence, but it also gives the people around you confidence. And I can see and watch just how proud the other receivers are of Chris because they know how hard he's worked, especially missing those early practices. That's really hard to come by early in the season. But he's shown true and try why he's, one of the best receivers in the country.
Yeah, we have a couple of graphics for you all to kind of look at as well, because DK, I was looking back to last year and his catches to targets. He had 58 targets last season, only caught 29 of those, so that's about 50%.
Wow.
Right now he's catching about 75% of his targets. He's 31 of 41 if you maybe want to look at it from that angle, and he's also has more touchdowns, he has more catches, he has more yards than the 13 games last season through 5.
That's a great statistic, Paige, because a lot of his balls are 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
And he's winning the majority of those. So I can see why that percentage has gone up. But they're talking about him on draft boards now. Mm-hmm. And I think if he starts like he finishes, he will be one of the better receivers to come through this program. I truly believe that.
Does that ever trickle over to the defense when you got a guy on offense making plays like that? Like, does that juice up your defense to, like, want to go out there and compliment that? Is that where you get that complimentary defense?
It does. It does. Mention, when you're in SEC play, practice is still competitive.
Yeah.
Sure, you're going against the scout team, but you still get your looks against the ones on offense and the ones on defense. And so, our cornerbacks, whether it's Ty Redmond or Colton Hood, they're taking reps with their gloves on and, in one-on-one so they won't hold. And they're guarding Chris Brazel and Braylon Staley and Mike Matthews. So they're getting each one of each other better. And when you're guarding one of the best receivers in the country, you're going to show up and show out on Saturday.
Yeah, somebody else that's up right now is Colton Hood, and I think he flew under the radar a little bit coming out of the transfer portal, but he's now certainly making a name for himself, taking all those reps here to start the season. What's impressed you most with how much he's kind of risen to the occasion?
I think for him, he's just, I call it Johnny on the spot. Okay. That's what Coach Martinez likes to say. He just finds the ball. Mm-hmm. He's a playmaker. He doesn't make too many mistakes. He's physical. He doesn't mind getting in there and, putting his nose in there and making some hits. He makes mistakes, but he bounces back. And as a cornerback, you've got to do that. You've got to have that mentality. And to think that he was – not slated as a starter to start out, and, here he is scoring touchdowns 2 in one season, and we've got plenty of ball to go. You need those impact players if you want to be a college football playoff team, and Colton Hood shows why no matter where he's gone and transferred that he gets an opportunity to get on the field.
And I think the soundbite from wide receivers coach Kelsey Pope can also be applicable to Colton Hood. We'll listen to that, and then I'll get your take on it.
With that kid, a lot of times when he just prepares and on Saturday, when he's able to just play and not have to think, I think you get the best version of him.
It gets into this idea of like being like in a flow state is kind of the advice I was getting from Coach Pope. And I think that's what happened with Colton Hood when he had that pick 6, just absolutely just made a play on the ball and was able to run it back. I think it was 23 or some odd yards. How much of that do you see transfer to your defenders when they can't just go out there and play?
Yeah, well, you're in the zone and you're not thinking, you're just playing, right? You're not reacting, you're being proactive in what you do out there. And that's why he's able to be one step ahead. That's why he's able to be closer to the ball than everybody else, because he's confident. Mm-hmm. He knows what he can do. He doesn't have to think. He's just out there playing. And when you play loose, when you're juiced up, you make plays like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess if we maybe flip the coin and we look at a little bit of who's down at this point in the season, who's maybe that first player or position that kind of stands out to you that, like, there's potential to do a little bit more than what they've done so far this season?
Yeah, I really expected our tight ends, Miles Kitselman as well as Ethan Davis, just to have a little bit more productivity. They've only got 15 receptions, 149 yards, and 1 touchdown this entire season, with the majority of that being Miles Kitselman. So just thought that we would implement them more in the offense. Now to say, hey, are we really missing out when you've got Brazel, Staley, and Matthews all making plays, all having over 100 yards receiving in games. I think a lot attributes to that, as well as Joey, putting it out there, putting it out deep, and putting it, out to allow his players to make plays on the edge. But I did think that we'd see a lot more productivity out of our tight ends.
Do you think that will relate a little bit more to Joey fixing his ball placement this off week? Because obviously the 2 untimely interceptions came off deflections intended for Miles Kitselman, and those balls were a little high and away as well too.
Yeah, I think so. And for Joey, he's a playmaker. Big play Joey is what I like to call him.
Coin it.
Yeah, but sometimes you gotta realize, hey, I can dunk this pass down for 4 yards and take it, right? You don't always have to take that 10-yard hook to the tight end, right? Throw it to your check down here and there.
Yeah.
Give it to Ethan Davis if he has an opportunity. Miles Kitselman's a ball player as well, and see what they can do with the ball.
Yeah. The other position we could look at, too, I think really should be with the special teams.
Yeah, especially going into, the end of the fourth quarter, the whole question of, is Josh Heupel going to try to get us in field goal range? Is he playing for overtime with the confidence that we're going to win in overtime? But, the question of can Max Gilbert deliver? And then also, what I spoke on earlier is who's going to be our punt returner?
Yeah.
Putting it on the ground, back-to-back games, UAB, Mississippi State, 2 different punt returners. Your job as a punt returner, number one, is to secure the ball. Right, and then try to get 10 yards, get your offensive first down if you can. But turning the ball over, not having true confidence in your place kicker right now, we've got to get those questions answered.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned Boo Carter. He absolutely should just be the only guy that's back there. And I feel so bad for Braylon Staley and the muffed punt and then the ball that kind of just pinned Tennessee back at their 1-yard line, because that was the first time he was back for special teams since Syracuse, and he had 1 punt return for 2 yards. And I think that's where you get to like Josh Heupel and the team overthinking things, outsmarting themselves, because he's like, oh, their punt team had a left footer or something. But I think just moving forward, TK, it just needs to be Boo Carter.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I don't think anybody's more elusive with the ball in their hands back there than Boo Carter. With Boo Carter, there is some volatility, right? But I think he's going to have more wins than losses back there. But for Boo, he's just got to realize as a playmaker, he doesn't have to have a 20-yard punt return every time, right? And there's such thing as a fair catch. So for him, knowing the playmaker he is, I think just the coaches as well as his teammates giving him the confidence in, hey, man, just get us the ball and we'll deliver.
Yeah, and I think if they can get that figured out, maybe get a little bit more confidence, and Max Gilbert will maybe see some more successful final drives of the game that don't have to go into overtime. And that will get us to our Week 6 growth that we hope to see over this next week. We'll be right back.
I'm VFL Chris Brown. Experience the VW brand proudly being produced in the great state of Tennessee. Harper Volkswagen is a proud partner of Tennessee Athletics. Go Vols.
Welcome to Live Ball, presented by Harper Volkswagen. Here are your hosts, Paige Dauer and Todd Kelly Jr.
Alrighty, welcome back into Live Ball. Paige Dauer and VFL Todd Kelly Jr. Tell me what you like most about the bye week, because like we said at the beginning of the show, the lights are off, but when you look at the schedule for Tennessee in October, you have to win October this week, I feel.
You have to. I'm biased. October is the best month of the year. Wink, wink. My birthday's next week. But no, in all seriousness, bye weeks. I mean, it all is about recovery. Mm-hmm. Playing 5 games in 5 weeks, you're going to be bruised. You're going to be tampered a little bit and have some injuries here and there. So it's a time to recover. Mm-hmm. A time for your reserves, your second and third string, to really get some reps and show what they can do right after sitting on the sideline and saying, hey, I want to be out there. Well, prove it, right? And so you have scrimmages and things like that. So the younger guys get to improve on that realm. And then third is prepare for my next opponent.
Yeah.
During a bye week specifically, no matter what side of the ball you're on, if it's offense, you're watching the defense and their tactics. And if you're on defense, you're watching, how they line up, different cues they give. So within those 3 tiers, I would say the first being getting healthy is the most important.
Yeah, with your birthday coming up next week, maybe I'll just have to have my mom come back and bring everybody sourdough again.
Oh, yeah. That was going so quick. It was so good. So good.
Yeah, so I'll make sure she's busy in the kitchen moving forward. Another player we were looking at last week that I think could really utilize this bye week is one Arion Carter, dealing with a little bit of the turf toe, which I think deserves more of an aggressive term, because that does not describe how serious that injury can be.
Yes, turf toe is something that I had actually, not only in high school, but a stint in college as well. And it's serious, and if you don't take care of it, it could be detrimental. That's why Joe Burrow is out for quite some time in the NFL. So for Arion, I was actually talking to him earlier this week. He's like, that's my number one priority. We know what he can do. No need to have him out there practicing. You need your best players on the field, and so he needs to do all he can to live in that training room.
Yeah, and what I think is so impressive, not only with the 17 tackles he had in that game, the PBU, the game-saving PBU in overtime, it's he was playing through that injury in that game, technically, and still had, like, the best performance of the year.
Yeah, well, you have warriors is what I call them.
Yeah.
Guys that no matter what, I mean, you think of an Al Wilson. You think of a Gerard Mayo that played linebacker, number 7. You know, he's one of my favorite players from my dad's hometown. They're not coming off the field, right? If it's something going on, they're going to say, Coach, tape me up. Coach, ice me up. But I want to be the guy on the field, and I want to be the guy that makes that play. And Arion Carter's that guy, and he delivered and showed why he's a leader on the team and one of the captains and who the guys really look up to.
Do you think this week will also be important for somebody like Boo Carter? Because we talked about him getting reps on special teams, and we've really complimented Jalen McMurray and what he's been doing at the star position. But I go back to that play, I think it was like the second or the third or fourth drive from Mississippi State, and Boo Carter just absolutely sniffed out the pass to Anthony Evans right away, upended him, and gets the PBU.
Yeah.
Like, he is so electric with the way he plays. You mentioned the elusiveness on special teams, but is this the week where maybe he earns more playing time on defense?
I think so. I think it's very hard to keep him off of the field, and he wants to be out there. And so I think this week really dialing up some packages to where you know that, hey, not only is he out here, but how can we utilize him? How can we use him on blitzes? I really want to see him in blitz packages a little bit more, and then just having him on the field. The good thing is, you know, you've got talent, you know, on the back end in the absence of your 2 starting, you know, where they're supposed to be your 2 starting corners.
Yeah.
And you still got a little bit of depth back there. So I would love to see Boo Carter out there, and I think there's no better way for him to earn that than this week during the bye week.
And last message of the bye week before we get to our interview with VFL, Ollie Lane. What is the one bye week that you could remember in your career at Tennessee where you're like, okay, the things are starting to click, we really turned things around, or like you got the most out of your bye week?
That's a great question. You're probably not going to like this answer,
no.
but I did not remember any bye weeks because all I remember are the intense games that we played. I remember preparation. I think that's the biggest thing. One particular bye week may not stand out. I guess for me, just playing through injuries, you know, kind of like Arion did. I dealt with a knee injury my entire junior season, getting cortisone shots, getting my knee drained, all that stuff. But bye weeks were crucial to getting through the season. So all I remember is ice and, you know, the hot tub and everything else. But it's crucial to your season, and we need to use it to heal up and get better and get ready to go next Saturday.
Yeah. Now being a financial advisor, how are you going to utilize your bye week with Merrill Lynch?
Well, right now it's work with Merrill and family time as a husband and father. So we're doing Disney on Ice.
Okay.
And then we're going to Dollywood.
Well,
so in between that, I'm going to have my ESPN app going. You know, I'm going to be tuned into the Disney on Ice, but I'm also going to be keeping up with the scores this weekend.
Okay, I love that. Well, I appreciate your time, TK.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paige.
Absolutely. All right, coming up next, we'll have our interview with VFL, Ollie Lane. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm VFL Chris Brown. Experience the VW brand proudly being produced in the great state of Tennessee. Harper Volkswagen is a proud partner of Tennessee Athletics. Go Vols.
To Live Ball, presented by Harper Volkswagen. Here are your hosts, Paige Dauer and Todd Kelly Jr.
Alrighty, welcome back into Live Ball. Paige Dauer, we just had VFL Todd Kelly Jr. with us, and we traded him in for another VFL one, and Ollie Lane, former offensive lineman for Tennessee. Ollie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. How you doing today?
Yeah, not doing too bad. Enjoying like the cool early morning and enjoying the bye week. We don't have to get up super early tomorrow. It's always a nice feeling.
Oh yeah. So
when we look to last week against Mississippi State, there's this moment that's going around, of course, with Davis Sanders Jr. getting his first, snaps, his first SEC reps on that really crucial drive for Tennessee, and he's like banging his helmet. He's ready to go. They say that that's a status quo for Davis Sanders Jr., but as a former offensive lineman, like, I feel like that type of energy is so unique to that position group.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, seeing him have that kind of type of energy, especially the first game out, is huge. I don't know how you felt, but I felt like David Sanders looked really good when he got in the game and got his opportunity. obviously had the freshman mistake, jumped off sides. That's going to happen, especially when you're playing on the road in the SEC. But, I mean, for him to come out first play, pulling across the line and just smacking somebody, and then watching it when we go in and score that touchdown, he's already in the back of the end zone finishing another guy. That shows me everything I need to know about David Sanders. This guy's going to come in. He's going to be a great athlete for us, great player. And that slapping helmet energy, it reminds me a lot of playing with Jerome Carvin. Jerome was a huge helmet hitter, all that kind of stuff. I'll never forget. Funniest story. I can't remember what. I think it was the Alabama game in 22. We had just scored a touchdown. Jerome all excited and stuff. He always liked to headbutt people. But he didn't realize he had his helmet on, and he went to headbutt Gerald Mincy, and Mincy did not have his helmet on. And that's probably the funniest thing that I can ever remember about that. And those guys that are just aggressive like that. I was always one of the players. I did not want my helmet touched, especially when I got off the sideline after a drive. You know, everybody's wanting to slap your head and stuff. I'm like, oh, just leave me alone, leave me alone. But, you know.
Yeah, how much can you learn about David Sanders Jr. in just those couple of plays? Obviously, he had all of the hype coming in. He enrolled early to Tennessee, and then just before the season gets going, he has that upper body injury, kind of undisclosed, but it's all about him finding the strength to get back out onto the field. He finally does, and, like, how important will him being out there be for the success of the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, from what I saw in the series that David Sanders was in there, he looked really good. Explosive, super fast, athletic, all the things that we were wanting to. And I mean, the great thing is that now you're seeing that NIL money start to pay off with him being in the game. I know that from day one, he's wanted to be out there. It wasn't necessarily his choice to not be able to play in the first quarter of this season. But now that he's back and now that you've seen him play, especially, I mean, I know it's probably not his choice. It wouldn't be my choice either to have my first snaps be in the situation that it was. But I think it showed a lot about where he's at already in his development. And so, I mean, I think you're definitely going to see him take a full step into this starting offensive line. And I don't think it's going to cause too much of an issue with anybody. Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is Umarov knew beginning of the season that it was David Sanders' position. Jesse Perry was the guy ahead of me. Or not Jesse Perry. Wendell Moy was the guy ahead of me, so on and so forth. And so now I think you're just going to see that be able to transition back to where it was supposed to be at the start of the season. And I think, too, another highlight that a lot of people aren't talking about a ton is that Jesse Perry did come back in that game on Saturday. A lot of times you see guys get rolled up on the interior. It's happened countless times throughout my career, seeing different guys kind of drop from those situations. So it was really good to see him get back out there because the way it looked on tape, it didn't look like it was a very comfortable roll-up.
No.
But thankfully he got back out there and played good. And so now you know that you're going to have at least your secure five back in. And what this does for us as well is help to re-solidify that offensive line depth, especially in this age of the transfer portal. It's really hard to build depth. And on top of that, quality depth. So now that you get a piece like David Sanders back there, now you know you got a guy in Umarov that can roll in and roll out whenever you need to, and he's seasoned up now a little bit. Because this has been his first real opportunity to get big chunks of playing time in his career, and he's played really well. So I'm confident in the fact knowing that we've got the six-man rotation back in there now.
And I feel like this bye week is coming at a crucial time, too, especially when you add David Sanders Jr. back into the equation. You know, gets his first couple of reps. But you mentioned Jesse Perry a couple of minutes ago. He has absolutely overperformed in that role, filling in. How impressed are you with his ability to do that? Because that's not easy.
Yeah, no, I'm super impressed with Jesse Perry. He's a guy that I harped on a lot during the spring. I mean, when he first came in, because I was still on the team when he first came in and didn't have the size, I was wondering, you know, I don't know if this kid's going to be capable of it. And especially I remember the first thing I said to him is he came from a triple option offense, very similar to mine at Gibbs. And so I told him it took me about 3 years to figure out how to pass that. Let's see how long it takes you. Well, obviously he learned it a lot faster than I did. And he also learned how to put on good weight a lot better than I did. My answer to putting on weight was just eating a 20-piece McNugget almost every single night to try to gain weight. I don't think Jesse went that route. The weight that he's put on looks really good. And, I mean, what I really like about him is just his versatility. I mean, he's supposed to be the starting right guard, gets moved out to right tackle, and plays impeccably well. I mean, I never saw any issues with him. And, I mean, the fact is he's still technically a freshman out there. I understand it's a redshirt freshman, but he's still young. And his just maturity in the game shows a lot. His ability to see things off the edge. especially when you play a team like Georgia that's going to throw a bunch of stuff at you. I never saw any time where being the young guy out there, because, I mean, he's technically is the youngest guy on our offensive line right now, other than David Sanders now coming in. So didn't see him have any of those big freshman moments that you could have from a guy like that.
You mentioned stuff coming off the edge. Let's go to the other side of the offensive line. Let's go to the left side, the blind side for Lance Hurd. The growth that he's had this season, I don't think is getting championed enough because he did not have the first season with Tennessee that he wanted to have transferring from LSU coming here. Like, you talk about leaving a lot of plays out on the field. That's how Chris Brassel felt last season, and that's probably how Lance Hurd felt a lot last season, and just not being able to set the edge, protect the blind side. He's been able to do that and more this season with Joey Aguilar as the quarterback. What have you noticed about his growth this season?
No, I mean, I could definitely tell that he had to have been dealing with something last season that kind of held him back and restricted him, because, I mean, this guy, he's explosive. His pulls are a lot faster this year. His ability to just protect that blind side for Joey is huge. And I had spoke about it all season building up to this, that he needed to be your leader on that offensive line. He's the only one that's really been there for a full year, knows the system well, knows what they're trying to get done. And I could see him really kind of evolve into that leader of the offensive line. He doesn't seem like he's always the super vocal one, but he definitely has a big role to play in that offensive line and does a really great job. Super satisfied with just all five of the offensive line, but Lance Hurd specifically, because I know there was a lot of people that had a lot of hard things to say about him last year. And I mean, the fact is, I think he was banged up, but he put in the work this offseason. He came in strong. And he looks all the part of what we wanted him to be. I mean, you could say the same for Moy and Pendleton as well. Obviously, I don't think Pendleton came in planning to play center. And then when you got big shoes to fill, like Cooper Mays had left, it sometimes is a hard role to fill in for. I had difficulties filling in for that center role for Cooper when he was gone, just because you know how good of an asset that you had. But I think Sam's done a really good job kind of filling in, because that is a difficult position to play. But then again, just, you know, the cohesion that they have up front. And I said it somewhere the other day, but I've been a part of some really talented offensive lines. I mean, I was part of one offensive line that was Darnell Wright, Cade Mays, Trey Smith, Jerome Carvin, Brandon Kennedy. I mean, there was a lot of talented guys that I played with. These guys are playing really, really well. And I mean, it's a great thing when you go out and you can watch a football game and say, I did not notice the offensive line, because we don't want to be noticed unless we're doing something good. And we're doing a lot of good things out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a good thing that you mentioned Lance Hurd, and he did battle a couple of injuries last season, you know, to start the season and then in the middle of the season last year. And that definitely was a contributor to maybe his lackluster performance last season. Not so much this season, certainly splashing onto the scene. Before we let you go, though, Ollie Lane, I want to go back to your high school days. You mentioned your time at Gibbs. You want to know who had a really big win last night? It was Gibbs over Anderson County.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I think it was like the first time they beat them since – I want to say like 07. It was a long time. Yes. A long time since we beat Anderson County. I remember battling Anderson County when I was in school. It was never a fun game because they're a good team. But it says a lot where Gibbs is at. I mean, I think they finished up around 9-1 last year. And now obviously I know they had Alcoa is just a team that's always going to be hard to play. But I'm really excited where Coach Turner has that program going. There's a lot of things that could be said about the Gibbs community. And it's just a great community to live in. And when they got a good football team, it's a lot of fun to be there.
And I always have a beautiful stadium too.
Yeah.
High schools. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just there's a lot of pride in that community, and it's always going to be go Eagles for the Gibbs. So.
Absolutely. Well, Ollie, I really appreciate your time. Enjoy the bye week as well. A little easier for you and all your duties you do now as kind of a broadcaster.
Yeah. No, I'm going to enjoy getting my little weekend off this week. So.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, that'll do it for week 6 of the Live Ball. If you miss anything, it'll re-air later this weekend, and you can always scroll back and catch up, and we'll have so much more coming up this weekend and who's continuing to impress us and what they're doing during their bye week. We'll have so much more coming up on our YouTube channel at Full Disclosure Pro. You can join us and subscribe any day. We appreciate all of the support, and we'll be back next week for more on the Arkansas matchup. We'll talk to you guys then.
Welcome to Live Ball, presented by Harper Volkswagen. Here are your hosts, Paige Dauer and Todd Kelly Jr.
I'm VFL Chris Brown. Experience the VW brand proudly being produced in the great state of Tennessee. Harper Volkswagen is a proud partner of Tennessee Athletics. Go Vols.
Business can't afford the downtime that comes with a leaky roof. So whether you need a repair or a replacement, count on the professionals from McGuire Roofing and Construction. Your protection is our passion. We service and sell all types of roofs and have worked with some of East Tennessee's most recognized names. We have 25 years of experience and free inspection estimates, plus best in business warranties. Put an end to your roofing problems today by calling McGuire Roofing and Construction.